Really happy to have you guys back here. I'm with my co-host,
Nick Giganti,
and our amazing guest,
Skye Michiels.
Skye, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, I'm dead serious. This is the most exciting episode, I think, for me personally, because I'm a part of what you built.
Yeah.
And what he's built is yet to come. I'm super excited, so stay tuned. Skye, could you please give our listeners just a little bit about yourself as we start to really unpack it throughout the next 45 minutes?
It's always an interesting question, I think, when you get to introduce yourself, like, who are you?
Yeah.
And I think we often go back to like business, but I'll introduce myself first off as a father, most importantly. I got 2 great kids. I live in the Philadelphia area, obviously. As far as business goes, I am currently the CEO and founder of With Heart Coaching, which is my coaching company that I formed 5 months ago. Previous to that, I was the head of coaching for Compass Real Estate nationally. Previous to that, I was at Keller Williams for a beautiful stint of time.
KW family.
Love the KW model and system. And then prior to that, I was at Coldwell Banker. And then before that, I was a high school history teacher. So I have a long history of sort of being an entrepreneur, being in business. And I'll probably start all the way back in my entrepreneurial journey. Began at 12 with a paper route. So I started joking around. I've been a business owner since the age of 12.
Yeah. And I'll add leader. Just whether you're leading children in a school at a young age, trying to learn the basics, or leading, agents trying to grow their business, just leading entrepreneurs in general, like you're just a leader. In my life, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So you guys met at Coldwell. I don't know if you want to touch on
I was
that.
going to say, I know you
Yep.
from, back in the day when we all started at Coldwell.
Was he always this cool? Like when you first
Always this cool.
That's what I've heard. He's always been cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think the best part about the Philadelphia real estate market and world is it is a family. I mean, we're very small and very integrated, and pretty much you think back to some of the old Coldwell Banker days.
Yeah.
We all sort of went to different brokerages, or we still have great friends at Coldwell as well. But you could pretty much have a Philadelphia real estate event, and we all sort of know each other and are family members. And there is ever anything in the community that goes bad, like people come together. So I have experienced real estate communities all across the country now from being at Compass, but I actually love being home here. And I think one of the best parts of what we're starting to see is an up-leveling of professionalism in our community. And I think the Philadelphia community, we have a really great opportunity to continue to get close and work together, collaborate together. We're all better together when we're working together.
Yeah. Philly, I always say it's a big, small city.
Yep.
And I think that really resonates with like how we do business too. It's like your reputation is everything. And here, if you don't uphold that, it'll spread very fast.
And Nick, I always say your relationship with other realtors is as important, maybe even a little bit more important than your relationship with your clients and your sphere, because of the fact that, my sphere of influence, I'm going to do a deal with them once every 5 to 7 years, really critical and important to keep, have a great relationship with people. But at the end of the day, I'm going to do a deal with Nick, hopefully every year. Right. And that's so critical for the agents that are listening to this. And pretty much any entrepreneur, like you get further in life by creating community and collaboration than you do by creating division and negativity.
100%. For me personally, since joining your program, I do want to say I'm part of the Happier Human with Skye Michiels, and you have an ace in Susie Adamson. Shout out Susie.
Straight to Susie.
A little technical difficulties. We're back, but we were shouting out Susie Adamson. Amazing human being. And we were just talking, we were diving into there a little bit more about the program that we were in.
Yeah. I mean, so when I formed the coaching company, one of the biggest lessons I learned through business is that most business people know what to do, but they're blocked through personal issues, negativity, being unhealthy physically, mentally. And one of the best things we can do for business owners, entrepreneurs, realtors, mortgage people, anyone that's really out there, people in general, is actually teach them how to be positive, teach them how to be happier. And so one of my goals when I formed the coaching company was to actually form something that had nothing to do with real estate or business, but everything to do with the human being. So this program called The Happier Human is a program designed to teach people how to be happier, healthier, and more connected as human beings. And Martina, you're going through it right now, so you can attest to it.
Yeah, well, product of it. So when I first met Skye, you came in and spoke to our entire real estate team, about 45, 50 agents in our office at such a high level. And we were getting deals done while you were still speaking. Hold on. I can't emphasize this enough. We were getting deals done while this man was still speaking to us. And just showing us simple ways to just really connect first with yourself.
Yep.
Because, man, there's a lot of people that don't even know what their own feelings look like.
Sure.
And then obviously once you can really obtain feelings, whether it's through, pumping endorphins in your body with a nice workout, you can kind of start to figure out how to put good feelings and good vibes in your body. And it's crazy how much they radiate and touch others. And when you're talking about people operating in a negative capacity, I'm almost thinking of a car with just the wrong oil in it.
Yeah.
You're just not going to run at your highest at best. And when you have that happiness fuel, man, it kicks you off and it doesn't let you come down. It doesn't.
That's it. And I think you go back to this world that we're being fed a message that we should be hustling and grinding, and we're being fed a message that outcomes matter. And that's actually the wrong message that we need to be consuming, because of the fact that when you hustle and grind, that'll last for a little bit, but usually you're sacrificing a lot of pieces. And Nick, I know you really well.
Yeah.
Right. You can attest to this
And I think at the end of the day, it's being an entrepreneur. It's a lonely place sometimes.
Yep.
You're not just getting a paycheck every day. It's something that you have to, there's just so many peaks and valleys. And I think this is, society that we're in nowadays, like you said, we're bombarded with so much information, so much that I don't know if we were naturally supposed to be like that. No. And going back to what you were saying, it's so many people in society are outcome driven. I want to work out to lose weight. How about you work out so that you feel good and that you're healthy every day? It's like, and create those habits. And I think it's good to kind of, you see all these successful people that lived with, the achievement and the grandeur in their life. And then once they get there, they're like, honestly, less is more.
Yeah,
a lot of times.
That's right.
Less is more. And you don't have to kill yourself to get to this place. Enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy the relationships that you make and stuff like that. And I think that's, a great kind of like vision that you have for your company. Just like,
correct.
Because so many people are stuck in a rut and they need other people to kind of tell them, like,
You said it yourself, like, it's being an entrepreneur, running a business is lonely. You're with your thoughts all day, every day when you're an entrepreneur. When you're an employee, you're being, you're given tasks, you got to do the task, complete them. When you're an entrepreneur, you're with yourself all day. You're in the morning, in the night, in the middle of the day, and it can get very lonely inside your brain. So one of the things is, A, you got to become your best friend. And that's where the happier human comes in, right? Like, what is my routines and processes? And then B, where's my community of people that I can lean on? We were not meant to live in these worlds where we were alone. We were meant to live in a world where we are actually in a community of people all working together. Even if we all own different businesses, when we work together, there's no greater joy we feel than working in a community. And that's a happiness advantage that you can take and go out there. The other thing I'll say is that we are actually holding a piece of technology in our hands for some of us, probably 24 hours a day. If you're sleeping with your cell phone next to your head, which most of us do, we have a piece of technology that has been trillions of dollars invested to make us unhappy. And one of the challenges, actually, if you're listening to this, I have a challenge for 1 week. Turn off notifications on email, text, and social media for 1 week. And that first day, it's going to freak you out. Second day, you're going to feel a little lighter. By the end of the week, you won't even notice you have them off.
Yeah.
And it creates a lot more presence within ourselves. And that's, I think, one of the messages that if I could convey to anyone as a coach or a leader, is that you are the most important person in this world, in your business, in your family, in your community. And we got to make sure we take care of ourselves first, right?
So I want to add to that, because there's a very distinct difference, between being like told you're special versus like told that you are important and you matter. Because I think when you have a feeling of I'm special, I'm different, you're almost feeling that the world's unfair, And a lot of people, like you said, are attached to outcomes. So when you were growing up and you got an A and you showed your mom, good job, you got an A. Not good job, you studied 10 hours and you didn't go out that one night. And I told you to stop hanging out with that guy, Billy, and you did. And it's all, that's the like you're going into the process part. So I think being made to feel special eliminates the process. And it's only like, how can I be special? And that's the result.
Yep.
And I think that's where entrepreneurs will also get in, because we're looking at other entrepreneurs killing.
That's right. And where are we seeing that? On Instagram. And when you see Instagram, most of the A is fake. Like the person that looks great, they probably are taking Ozempic and losing.
Like if you're watching this right now, this is all fake, right?
Totally on Instagram. Yeah,
AI
It's
generated.
AI generated.
Nick, you look better with AI.
Yeah, exactly. You look jacked.
Yeah.
But it is fake, right? And it even if it's not fake, even if it's real, some of it's real. But what we don't see in the success that we see on Instagram or on social media is the work that went into it. We don't see the early mornings. We don't see the late nights. We don't see the work and the process. And I feel like if we can teach people to not obsess about outcomes, but obsess about process, that's where true success comes. Because at the end of the day, we all know this. Once we achieve an outcome, we celebrate that for 5 minutes, and then there's another outcome we're chasing.
That what next question comes in real quick.
Totally. So joy is not in that outcome. Joy is in the process. If you can reframe your
It's
mind.
like that byproduct.
The byproduct is the outcome.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So,
So a lot of I always say, we're programmed from childhood. So talking about your upbringing.
Yeah.
You're an entrepreneur. Did you come from a family of entrepreneurs?
Great question. Actually, we grew up poor. So,
Okay.
My mom was a librarian, and my dad worked at a printing press and stuff like that. So we grew up actually really poor. So it was one of those funny things that when I was a paper boy at 12, I went to college. I knew I wanted to be a teacher, and I became a teacher, and I had that stability I craved. When you're poor, it's very unstable. So you want to create stability. So I had it. But I think there's this competitive nature and also a world where I didn't want to always be living paycheck to paycheck. So I got into real estate just as a side gig to make a little extra money. And all of a sudden that ignited that spark of the entrepreneur in me, that wanted to build a business again.
Quick question in there while you continue. Where did the competitiveness come from? Where did that compete?
Good question. So I was an athlete my whole life, right? So I grew up playing sort of baseball. I started playing football in 9th grade, and I started rowing on the crew team in 9th grade. And those two sports, so I would play football in the fall, I'd work in the winter, I'd row crew in the spring, work in the summer.
That is super competitive crew.
It's tough. I think it's ranked the number one. Oh no, gymnastics is number one, and then crew is up there. It's top 3.
It's up there, and you're at 5 a.m. in the morning. I was bred early on to be a morning person. And I think the other thing about crew, you think about it, it is only about process. You train for months and months for a 6-minute race.
That's your result, right?
Yeah.
But you don't see it
exactly
for a long time.
So you have to obsess about the process. You have to obsess about taking hundreds of thousands of strokes to perfect that, 200 you're going to take in a race, right? And it's one of those funny things. You also learn the power of community. Like my brothers that I rode with at Syracuse or even in high school, these are guys that I would, to this day, my phone rings right now. It's one of them. Sorry, guys, I'm out. Right? I would die for these guys. And that's it.
I know a 70-year-old man who was showing me videos of his 18-year-old crew days. It doesn't leave you either. You were literally committed and obsessed with the day you died. But sorry. So you were
so that gave me that competitive nature.
What was the transition out of high school teacher?
Yeah. So I actually did both for 3 years. Partly because I didn't believe the success, so I started started selling part-time. I thought it was, I'd sell 3 to 4 homes a year, make, some extra money, pay off debt, take a vacation, etc. But I got into the office and they had a leaderboard. So of course, hey, I'm on that board now. Let me go a little higher. And I'm brand new teaching, and I'm in the office to this day, one of my favorite offices. I wanted to be number one. And so I just started working harder, and it just started coming. I think my teacher background worked really well in real estate because I could explain things. I was nurturing, I had empathy. People would meet me. I was warm. I created a lot of trust, the same attributes as a teacher. So I did both for 3 years. And I remember one month I made my teaching salary in a month. And I was like, what am I doing? And
I think
I think it's
I'm putting in my, I'm putting in the letter.
Yeah. So
resignation.
I did finish the year because I'm a loyal person. I'm not going to just abandon my team, so to speak, my students and my teaching partner at the time as well. And I finished out the year, and then I left. So spring of 2005 was, I went full-time real estate and sort of started growing it from there.
That just shows me it's a small example of you not leaving, just how dedicated you are to what you do, really not the outcomes again. Because personally, I don't think I ever told you this either. I want to be a high school teacher as well.
I can see that.
Yeah. I want to be a history teacher. Same exact thing. Loved it. And the reason was I didn't think there was enough male influences at a young childhood there's a lot of female teachers reading, right?
Yep.
I had Mrs. Everything for everything. And I remember the one teacher I really like fucked with, excuse my language, Mr. Mags, history teacher. And I was like, I want to be that. I want to be that influence. So point being, you wanted to be that influence, didn't care about that 40, 30, whatever you did that month.
Yeah.
Which is an incredible month, by the way.
Yes.
Just, it was all about your, you know, who you were. Like, you didn't want to be, a fraud, or, you know what I mean? You didn't, just a man of your word. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here.
Exactly. I made a commitment, you know, so walking out on students, you know, halfway through the year is not what I was about. And I valued working a little harder for those, you know, 4 or 5 months to finish up than I did, you know, making an extra, you know, I don't know, 10 or 15,000. It wasn't worth it. You know?
100%.
And I think that's a good thing. When you grow up poor, there's pros and cons to it, of course. But one of the nice things is you do learn the value of people over money. Do you know what I mean? And the negative is you don't learn how to manage money. So that's like one of those things that I carry with me today. Like, as an entrepreneur, you know, always that money management will be a lifelong struggle. Taxes, savings, making sure you have reserves and all that.
I was going to actually lead into something because, again, like, same type of upbringing. Luckily, we weren't poor, but I came from a very blue collar family. My father was a union electrician.
Yep.
My mother was a nurse.
Yep.
Growing into entrepreneurialism for me, and I always talk to Martino, and listen, I love my parents. They raised us right. But there was always that, we're not those types of people.
Yeah.
We're not those types.
Yes.
Can we do that? We're not those types of people. And it's funny, again, you go back to like childhood programming, that I had to get over a lot of limiting beliefs where I was like, I could fucking do this. You know what I mean? But you have you have this whole, growth when you're growing up of these people, you know, your parents saying that we're not these types of people.
Bad.
Money's bad, you know, things like that. And yeah, it's just getting over the hurdle of those limiting beliefs was a big thing for me.
Yeah, no, honestly, that was going to be my question, was like, what's your relationship with money at that time? And how did you get your relationship to where it is now?
Sure. So when you grow up poor, blue collar, you know, when you're living like paycheck to paycheck, you almost walk into a world where you don't think about it because of the fact it's not there. So, or for me, like if I didn't really think about it, didn't bother me that much. So you almost tried to ignore it. Right. And that is probably one of the downfalls of something I still to this day will struggle with that. Right. Where it's like, oh, well, you know, like I have the money in my bank account, let me spend it. Do you know what I mean? Because we're always going to be okay. You know what I mean? Even if it's just a little bit of, a little bit of struggle, we're always going to be okay. We're always going to outwork our way there. Do you know what I mean? And when I was early on in my career, you know, I'm a teacher, so all your taxes are taken out of your paycheck. Then I started making money in real estate. None of your taxes are taken out.
That first tax return you do.
Oh my God.
That first tax return you do when you're an entrepreneur, and you're like, wait, man. I have to. You like throw up in your mouth a little bit. You're like,
yeah. So, you know, it's one of those things you had to get this discipline that commission check comes in, 35% is not yours. And that's a little bit of that battle that you had to fight as you grew up. One of the biggest things I think I've learned over the years is rather than work at the things I'm not good at. So I'm not good at managing my money. Pay someone to address that weakness and stay focused on my strengths. So it's something I really preach in my coaching today. Don't try to fix your weaknesses. Try to go all in on your strengths and hire and pay someone to address your weaknesses. Because when we're spending all this time and energy on our weaknesses, number one, we probably are going to make ourselves feel like shit. Because, you know, if we're weak at it, there's not much we can do to improve it that much that's going to bring us joy.
Yep.
And instead, if I hyper focus on all the things I'm strong at, and then I pay someone to take care of the things I'm weak at, you know, either through a coach or an accountant or a bookkeeper or whatever it might be, well, now I can actually triple or quadruple or whatever it might be my results, rather than struggling and like trying to, I'm going to keep my own books.
Yeah.
No. You know, no matter how many times I said I'm going to sit down on a Sunday night and do QuickBooks, no, it just is not going to happen. Instead, I'm going to go out and design more coaching programs, or I'm going to go sell more houses, and I'm going to pay someone to bookkeep for me, pay someone to do my taxes, pay someone to keep me on track. And that is the key for every entrepreneur listening to this, is don't try to hyper focus on your weaknesses. hire to your weaknesses and in some ways, ignore the message that you need to be well-rounded. You don't need to be well-rounded to be successful. Think of an Olympic athlete. They don't, the sprinters running the 400 are not training for the marathon.
Yeah.
Right. They're running the 400. The marathon guys are running the marathons. They're not running the sprints. So when you think about the best athletes in the world, what they do is they just hyper-focus on what they're strong at, and they dive headfirst into that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, the lesson that a lot of entrepreneurs fail because they're trying to do all things and be all things to all people at all times.
Yep.
And inevitably, those blind spots of our weaknesses really, really catch us, drag us down, slow us down, and make us unhappy.
I think that also comes back to being blue collar.
It does.
Because my followers in construction do everything.
That's right.
And then you can maybe save a buck if you did, but then at the end of the day, it's like, what's the time value? What, you know what I mean? And then you start to understand, well, if I'm making this much per year, what does that equate to in hourly rate? You know, I should be paying somebody to do this. I should be paying somebody to do this.
Right.
And then ultimately your time is worth, an hourly rate, but it's worth a hell of a lot more too, because it's limited.
Especially when you're happy.
Yeah.
Like when you're happy and you're in a good mood, time is, you don't want it to go anywhere.
Yep.
But when you're like upset, you're like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do this work. You know?
Exactly.
But to your point, opportunity cost is the word that comes to
That's
mind,
right.
You know? So if you are an entrepreneur, you have to calculate your hourly wage and be like, all right, do I cook dinner tonight or am I picking it up? Right? This dinner's going to take me an hour. I have a ton of work that's going to pay me X amount.
Yep.
I'll pay the money for dinner. Simple example.
Yep. Very simple.
That can go way deeper. And I'm sure if I looked at your calendar and your VAs and all the systems you have, like a lot of people in this office, I know you have an assistant now.
Yep.
You really need to delegate, to elevate.
I have a chief of staff, and honestly, like the goal I have is that almost all of my time is spent in front of people, and everything in the back end is being taken care of by my chief of staff. Do you know what I mean? So everything in the background is being taken care of by my chief of staff, and they are the ones in my email. They're the ones setting the meetings up. For me trying to, how many times have we tried to schedule a meeting with someone? A week goes by of emails back and forth comparing schedules, and it doesn't happen.
Never.
Right. Yeah. Instead, I have a chief of staff, or you use technology, right? I have Calendly. Right. So you got to figure out a way to sort of stay in your strength and your strong spot. Now, my chief of staff, she's operations. So she doesn't want to be in front of a camera. She wants to be behind the desk in my email organizing. She wants to watch me be on camera. Right.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to develop a really, really strong business, was when everyone is operating in their strengths in a complementary way, and not, sometimes you see partners who are really the same person battling. No, it does not work.
It's like the whirlwind of business. You want to just keep grinding. If you're a competitive person, if you're an entrepreneur, you want to just keep working until the wheels fall off and kind of ignore those things. And then, like you said, they fester, you get burnt out, and you really do need to sometimes take time to just say, all right, like, I need to take time right now to work on the business, figure out these systems, and look for mentors that could help you in the right direction, so you're not, burning yourself out.
Let me give you guys another coaching tip, maybe.
Do
you guys try to time block and you fail at it?
I time block and I fail at it consistently.
I'm like 50%.
You're probably better than I am, because I have so much shit going on.
You take care of me, so I don't know how you do it, but I just have me to worry about. Maybe like 2 other agents that I help out, but that's it.
For most of the realtors or entrepreneurs listening to this, and Nick, for you, this may sound crazy. Don't fucking time block.
Really?
Instead,
where are you going with this?
Yeah, I want to know.
Instead, you habit stack. So you, Nick, have certain habits you do in your business, in your life. So rather than time block, because the downfall as realtors is that we are constantly, or entrepreneurs, we're constantly being bombarded with urgent, which is pulling us. And what happens is we set a time block, which isn't of things that are not urgent, but important, right? An urgent thing comes in and we violate our time block because if we don't do this, does it ring a bell?
100%. Yeah.
So instead, try this tactic of habit stacking. So, Nick, is there something you do every morning as like drinking coffee?
Drinking coffee.
Great.
100%.
Biggest coffee guy now.
Yeah. So when you walk in the office, do you drink a coffee or do you pour yourself a coffee or do you have it coming in?
Typically I have one.
Great.
That I drive to work with.
Awesome.
And then I get to work and then I'll either have like an espresso or I'll have another cup.
Perfect. Yeah. What's one thing that you could do that you want to work on in your business, not or, on your business, right? The thing that you time block. What's the thing you time block?
So for me, what I have been trying to do is work more on like the social media, what I'm posting, that sort of thing that I continuously throw out the window because I keep getting stuck in other bullshit.
Yeah. So number one, every time you walk in and you get that espresso, you do your social media, right?
Meaning, yeah. So like, yeah.
So you connect a habit that you enjoy to a task you don't enjoy, and you sort of combine the two, and then you don't have it on the calendar.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to finish this espresso without posting something on social media. And what you tell your brain, number one, the nice thing about an espresso, it's pretty tiny. And the nice thing about a social media post, it's pretty tiny. It's pretty easy to do that, right? Share a listing, share a comment, whatever it might be. So we connect these tiny two habits. One, you love getting your espresso when you walk in.
Yeah.
You hate doing your social media and you have a time block in your calendar you violate every time. Yeah. Instead, throw out this concept of time blocking and insert this concept of habit stacking. And you connect that little cup of espresso with a social media post. And all of a sudden, magically, every day you're posting on social media.
That's a fucking great tidbit of info.
It almost puts your brain's guard down, because you feel so guilty when you don't do it, and then it just stacks. The other way, it's the opposite effect that you want.
Yeah.
Exactly. The other challenge I have once again, we did this one, take your notifications off. Your brain, which is geared because you're an entrepreneur and because of the fact, most entrepreneurs have elements of, we're not ADD, but we have elements of like ADD actions where we chase urgent things.
Just want to get so much shit done.
Yeah. So your phone is designed actually to feed dopamine into your brain when you react to a notification.
Yeah.
So you actually got to take those notifications off your phone to allow you to be, productive.
Yeah.
Because like, let's pretend if there's an emergency with your family, you're going to get 3, 4, 5 calls in a row.
Yeah.
You're going to know to answer it.
Yeah.
There's almost nothing that will come in a text message that's an emergency.
No.
But in the course of a day, we get 100 text messages. Every single time our phone flashes or lights up, our brain craves knowing what's in it.
It
craves.
I'm like so aware of it too. I'm like licking my lips.
Addicts.
I'm like,
yeah, your phone is, you
I'm
can't see it. You got this up. You're dying.
I do.
Right now.
I'm sweating.
Right?
Yes.
And think about this concept. Like we're sitting at our desk with a time block doing social media and our phone's right here. And we're like, all right, what am I going to do? And a ping. Oh, yeah. All right. Ping. Right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this device is doing what it's designed to do, which is distract you and pull you away from the things that are not urgent, but important.
Yeah.
And our brain is designed to take care of what's urgent. Why? Because we had to survive. If you're in the woods and there's a bear and that's urgent, you need to react to it and your brain feels good doing urgent things. So it's just one of these things that I want to challenge entrepreneurs. I'm not saying don't do the things that are good for your business. What I'm saying is don't try to use a system that goes to your weaknesses. Use a system that goes to your strengths. Your strengths are doing things that you crave and you love to do. Drinking an espresso.
Yeah.
Just connect an activity that is small to that action. And all of a sudden you calm your brain down that you build up this big thing around social media that you have to like.
I just got to break through the wall. Yeah. And
you break through the wall.
Yeah.
One little brick at a time. And that brick is connected to espresso.
Yeah.
How great is that?
That actually, it's a great tidbit of information.
And then the other thing is then just make it small, like say, I'm just going to do this for a week and try it out. Yep. And you just calm your brain down.
And then it just creates the habit and then you're into it.
Yeah.
One step at a time, right? Like so many people are looking for, the finish line. You're not going to see it for a while.
Correct.
I hope you don't, right? If you're,
and we go back to the outcome, right? Like you want to post on social because you want to generate a sale. You want to get a lead. You want to do this. Instead, you throw all that out and you just say, I'm going to have fun with this.
Just going to do it.
Just do it. And espresso.
Every time this guy comes in, he gives a good tidbit.
Dude.
Funny enough, when you came and spoke at the summit, I texted that guy. Remember that? I literally sent out the listing for a property as is yesterday. Yesterday, because we talked about it. And then he's like, yeah, I'm in. Yeah. He was overseas. And
it's amazing.
He hit me up. Yeah. And I haven't talked to that guy in like 3 years.
Yeah.
Going back to what this spring, what was it? The spring summit? Was it the spring summit? Or it was
June.
Yeah,
I think it was June.
It was
yeah.
like one of our summits.
Yeah.
Skye, we were lucky enough to have Skye come in and speak. And he was just talking about scroll back, or picking somebody that you haven't spoken to.
I
And
have
just
that.
saying,
I time block for that now.
Yeah.
9:30 every morning. I scroll and I look for someone I haven't responded to, maybe, or someone like.
Yep.
I'm like, it's a great name. Let me just shoot him a quick text. Hey, thinking about you. Hope all's well. So simple. Oh, by the way, and this was during the class. What happened for you?
yeah, it was, or just like picking out somebody that you haven't spoken to in a while and just saying, hey, listen, and I like this guy. He's an awesome dude too.
Saw your name.
Hey, listen, yeah, just saw your name and your name came up, and yeah, I thought I would just text you to see what's going on. Nothing like, hey, do you want to sell this property? Do you want to do this? Just like, hey, I'm, just connecting.
That's right.
And he was, responded back to it, and then was like, yeah, give me a call actually, because I got this property that I'm
And then
thinking
you stepped
about.
outside immediately.
And then I stepped
in
outside.
the middle
Yeah.
of him
No.
speaking.
He's like, go out, go
You know?
take a call. And he's like, yeah, I'm in Turkey, but let's connect. And then, there was a couple of follow-up texts, but you know how sales are. It might not happen immediately, but it
And
happens.
that's yes, and
What's
that's to our point. It's not going to be
Yeah.
immediate ever.
Yeah.
And if you think it is, like
Yeah.
that instant gratification doesn't
That's right.
exist here,
Yeah.
find something else. No
Yeah.
offense. You want to check in 2 weeks?
Yep.
That's your 9 to 5. But if you want to really put out and see how much you can make, man, it's exciting.
That's right. Well,
Yeah.
how much is the listing out of curiosity, roughly?
This one is a piece of land for 4.25. But then, talking with him, he's like, hey, listen, I sold him a property over on City Line Ave. Very nice commercial piece on City Line Ave. That could be like a $1.5 million, because he's going through approvals. He's having a hard time with like a liquor license. So he's like, if I don't get it, throw it up on the market for, and it should be about a 1.5.
Give Skye 10%.
Yeah.
exactly.
25%
Exactly.
here.
It's like,
Referral.
thank you for letting
Sorry.
me know.
25.
I'll send the.
No. But I think what we do is we go back to the point that a simple text message connecting as a human being could generate 10,000 to 100,000 for you down the road, right? You don't know exactly. And that's, again, if anyone is listening to us that's in real estate, the exact script is, hey, I was going through my records today. I saw your name and it made me smile. Hope all's well.
Write that down. Whoever is watching this,
you're watching
all two of you, write that down. Like, it's gold.
It worked.
It's
It
gold.
works.
It's
It worked.
worked.
It
You
worked
have
for me.
Exactly.
two living examples right here. Like, there's no rocket
works.
science behind it.
Yeah. How many realtors tried to time block lead gen, and instead they could habit stack every time I get in the car, I'm going to send a text.
So that's actually what I want to say. I said I time block for that scroll back, but it's like, so, and Jim, Jim Roach, obviously, Jim. Jim's our team lead here at the office. He always talks about like kind of pairing things up, similar to habit stacking. So for me, I always I'd get done my run. It's like probably 8 at that time or whatever. And I'm like standing there, just like breathing as heavy as I can. And like everything's at peak, that's your time before the world wakes up. And it's like, when you're in that state, scroll back, text somebody. You're in no better place in your mind to genuinely be like, hey, here's just some thought, some acknowledgement. So pairing it with that run, pair this with something, a cup of coffee. Like, I just got my coffee. I'm gonna scroll back to. It's so enjoyable and it's so effective. I can't explain it. What's more better than doing something you enjoy that works?
It's a myth.
Your transition from school, we're at the 42-minute mark. We'll probably go till 50, maybe 55 an hour because I'm having a lot of fun. But what's that transition like now? How long were you a full-time agent?
Yep.
And then getting into the Happier Human, and was there a step in between that, et cetera?
Yeah. So 2005, I went full time, and I was basically, for a long time, I was an individual agent. I hired admin. I was actually a partner with Joe Herzog, a great friend of mine. We were actually business partners for a couple of years. To this day, one of my best friends. He's doing great.
Great.
So we were business partners for a couple of years, and once again, luckily, parted amicably after a couple of years. We shared assistants. And I was really adamant about being an individual agent, and this is one of my lifelong / business lessons. Ego is the enemy. And I'll tell this story, and I've told it before, but in 2011, I became the #1 individual agent in Coldwell Banker Preferred in the brokerage, right? So this was all, and I was like really proud of it. I had 2 full-time admin. I was killing myself though, because I was the only one doing sales, and
How many hours a week do you working at that point in your business?
50 minimum, probably more like 60 if you count having a laptop on your lap, watching TV.
And 2 assistants working
And 2
full
assistants
times, 40,
grinding.
40. Yeah.
So I won that award. I remember getting that at the time we did a big award ceremony, the Golden Eagle,
Can we put the eagle up on this?
I still have it in the basement. So as I'm heading into 2012, I knew I needed a team, but my ego was raging. And my ego, so at the time, Noah Ostroff, good friend of mine, I was actually mentored him when he got into residential.
You mentored.
When he just on the residential side, because he was doing development and commercial. So I helped him on the residential side when we first started out on residential. Where's Zach Caldwell? There's Zach Caldwell. And he was crushing it on the team side. So I was like, there's no way I'm catching Noah. So I was like, I'm going to stay an individual agent because I want to be number one again. For 1 year, I held off on hiring a team, which would have given me so much more pleasure in my life, probably made me more money, but I would not have won an award. And I did win the award, number one. So I was number one in 2012, but I probably gained 20 pounds. I was totally unhealthy. I was not happy. It was not a fun time for me.
I'm imagining you at the finish line, like in a suit, and the sleeve is ripped off, and your tie is behind it, and there's blood coming down from your head, and you're like, I walk under the Golden Eagle again. I got another one.
I feel like shit.
It's a lesson. I still have those 2 awards in my basement because of the fact that it's always a reminder that ego's the enemy. And a good friend of mine, Rob Lamb, gave me a quote one time, and it's a parable around when Roman emperors would go and they win, a military campaign, and they would ride back, and they all the riches and everything like that. They would put a slave on their chariot, whispering in their ear like, "Ego's the enemy, ego's the enemy, ego's the enemy." As a reminder that when our ego rages, we are never going to do good things, right? We are never going to make the right decisions when we're allowing our ego to drive us. And I think it's one of those big business lessons that if I always have to make sure I check my ego and make great, smart, sound decisions around life and around happiness. This is probably why some of my passion around teaching people how to be positive and happy comes, because of the fact that I know if I let my ego rage and make decisions around what I'm doing, rather than saying, what, this is actually going to make me happy, and giving up the need for other people to look at me on a stage or look at me on social media, not giving a fuck about any of that, and being able to look in the mirror and say, "Whew, I love you." Being able to look in the mirror and say, "Yeah, I'm proud of you." Yeah, I was not proud of myself for winning that eagle when I looked in the mirror, because I knew the toll it was taking on me, and then you also knew what it was holding you back on. So 2012, I luckily learned my lesson. I formed my team in 2013. At the time, Coldwell was just trying to learn the team stuff. They weren't really team friendly. So I was getting recruited by Keller Williams. I went to Keller Williams.
Smart move.
It was all right move.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay,
I don't know.
Keller was
I
amazing.
don't know what Colwell's like. I don't know what
amazing.
I don't know what
Colwell
is.
It's a great.
I would say, the training at Colwell was second to none. I really think, yes.
Second, you guys had a hell of an offense. Like, what?
Oh my God. If you look back at Cole,
you
find
find
shout
the
out
leaders.
to Jeremy Bowers too. He
David
Krieger. You were in the Old City office. Yeah. Old City office. You, Noah Ostroff, Jordan Brody,
Joe
Holly
Herzog, Dan Janetto, Kristen McFeely,
Holly Mack Ward.
Wow, that's sushi. I've done work with Holly. She's great.
Our office had me, Stafford, Roach,
Maria Quattrone,
AD,
Andrew Gismondi, Logan Kramer, who went off to become a big developer. Who else? Ryan Stawaz.
Ryan was there.
It was Scott Scuderi.
Marco, was he there?
Marco came right as we left.
He was just like,
but it was just like a bunch of Chris Mattioli. Like, you did go down Kikigata, who still I call, but just a bunch of guns, a bunch of really good agents that still are either good agents or successful in some other.
It's really, it was a really special time because of the fact that I think we were the younger generation coming up, or now we're the older generation. But at the end of the day, it was just such a great group of people that I always remember those calls. So yes, it was a huge shout out to David Krieger. Janetto, to Chris Mattioli, to bring those people together, all those egos, it's not easy. You have to really humble yourself to do that. So those guys who you're shouting out, I'm sure well deserve it. They use a lot of alcohol too.
Yeah, a lot.
Just you had good happy hours and parties, but yeah.
So when you when you were in 2012, 2013, how did that year look for you? 23, 14?
Yeah, it's an awesome year. I formed my team at Coldwell and then shifted into Keller Williams. And pretty soon Noah followed as well. He came over, we were working with Antonio Adekan. After about a couple of years, Noah had a desire to sort of do his own thing. And myself, Noah Ostroff, David Snyder, Brian Walters, Jake Dreyfus, Kristen Daly.
Shout out Brian Wald, upstairs. He's been a big mentor, a huge mentor, great guy.
Yeah. Horrible sense of humor, but yeah. Great guy. And we decided to form our own Keller Williams. So we formed KW Philly.
Yeah.
We launched, we had an amazing culture. We had beautiful office space and we grew very, very quickly. We went from 0 to 300 agents probably in maybe a year and a half.
What would you attest to that rapid growth?
Culture. We had a culture of collaboration, sharing.
So back what we talked about earlier in the pod.
Everything goes back to culture. Shout out to Jay Durant, another good Philadelphia name, right? Culture matters.
Yeah.
But it truly does matter. And I think any business owner out there, if you're not looking at the culture of your team, your organization, you're missing it.
Yeah.
And that was one of our keys to success was the fact that we were so dialed in. And I think training and education.
Yeah.
Once again, Brian and we were a big part of that. We started Education Day. Yeah.
That's what you started that day?
We started it. It started at KW Philly. Yeah.
It's amazing that you were part of the founders because I hear nothing but great things. All I hear is kind of like Noah Schneider and I guess McCann, but
McCann. So
but no one mentioned.
Yeah.
I know that's what you do.
Fast forward a little bit in this 2018, team is going great. In 2017, we did 94 million in volume, 222 deals. Like we're crushing it. But I was also, unfortunately, going through a very amicable divorce, but a divorce at the same time. So my life was shifting where I needed to be a full-time dad. And I couldn't be going on listing appointments and buyers. So in 2018, Compass came to Philadelphia. I was recruiting Kristen McFeely, dear friend of mine, to come at KW. And I remember the day she called me and said, so I made a decision. I'm going to Compass. I'm like, Compass? I'm like, you're committing career suicide. Like, it's an Inman, it's a room in a WeWork. Like, what are you doing? So to make a long story short, she went, and she said, there's another person coming with me who I can tell you in a couple of days. And it ended up being Dan Janelle, one of my dear friends. And so Kristen and Dan were two founding agents. Margot Pellegrin also was a founding agent, dear friend of mine. And then when that happened, I was like, oh, I need to learn about this. So I took a recruiting call with the whole goal of just learning how to recruit against Compass. And a minute into that recruiting appointment, he got recruited. No, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I love this. Everything they're saying was like, it was the beginning, if you remember. The biggest thing is this vision that the realtor was the number one. It was a client and the fact that we were going to create something nationally that didn't exist all around, sort of higher end culture, training. Technology was huge as well.
Yeah.
And the technology in 2018 was still in an early space. It is only Keller Williams was also in this space where they were trying to create the technology platform. Compass was the only company that actually had engineers on staff. So I originally said no to them. I'll make this long story short. And then they said, what can we do? I was like, well, it doesn't exist in Philadelphia. I'm going through a divorce. I can't risk everything I've built unless I see it, for real. It doesn't exist here. So they said, well, we want to fly you. We're going to bring you to DC, Seattle, and San Francisco. So I went out a little quietly. No one really knew. No one knew. And I went to each of these places. I interviewed all of that. I interviewed probably 20 people in each location over 18 hours and just meetings, breakfasts, and dinners. And every single person I met at Compass was just an incredible human being. Not that every person at KW was incredible as well, but it was one of these things where I saw this vision of building something national that was like one company. KW, the challenge you have at KW, it is franchise. Do you know what I mean? So you could have, we used to have two KWs that were, very different companies in the same city.
It's like a Starbucks. Like you can open up one anywhere as long as you meet the criteria.
Yeah.
You have other news.
And I think this vision of building something across the country, I was connected, and it just was exciting. So made the hardest, making the story. There's a lot more to it, but to make it a long story short, I made a decision to leave. I took over as a managing director at Compass in 2018. My team came with me, my sister, and we started growing from there. It's a really sad day leaving Keller Williams, but luckily all the friendships, and once again, we go back to the beginning of this podcast, talk about the family of Philadelphia real estate. If we go back to that family feel, that doesn't go away. None of us you're here. I'm here there. Here. None of us care which brokerage we're at or anything like that. So if you're a good human being, you are transparent, you add more value that you take. That's right. It's everyone will remember you and respect you. So you are very well respected as area. Appreciate it. I'm just learning a lot right now, and I feel like I do you golf before. I didn't know you was the founder of the brokerage out part for 3 years. It's incredible stuff. And so at this point in your career, you're starting this amazing program, which I'll say it again, and I'll say it 100 times more about. I'm so lucky to be a part of that. How was that start for you? And what's the goal looking forward? Any challenges or successes that you've seen that someone could, or so many? All the entrepreneurs watching will be grateful to hear any of those setbacks so they can maybe plan. So my journey at Compass, over my 5 years there, I started a group called the 6 Amers, and now it became this national group, and inspired by the 5 Amers, which Jake Drake is started at KW. I also became the head of coaching for Compass nationally, so I was designing coaching programs for the entire country, traveling all around. It was a pretty incredible experience, but I craved going back to being an entrepreneur. And luckily, my life had gotten to a point where I was really stable. My ex-wife and I have a great co-parenting relationship. My 2 great kids are older, so I was at a situation where I wanted to form my own company. And I didn't want to form a real estate company because I was sort of at a different stage of my career and a different passion. And I almost wanted to go back to my roots, which was teaching. So in April 1st of this year, I left Compass on February 29th. I sort of count April 1st because that first month I was like deer in headlights, like, oh my God, what did I do? Making all these crazy decisions, money poured out the, going out the door. And the biggest, if I could give anyone advice, anytime you have a transition, just take a week to decompress and do nothing. I didn't do that. At day 1, I was grinding, because I felt the pressure. I wish I could go back and go and just take a week vacation, just me, not friends, not go to a beach somewhere and just read a book, breathe, work out, just feel connected back to myself. Yeah, I know. Some of that means free. Yeah. And that month of March is sort of where I didn't do it, and I struggled. Yeah. It seems like you've made a lot of decisions. Like before you have somebody in front of you, you take a look back and you're like, how's my family doing? Yeah. How how's my relationship with my wife? And then you kind of approach what you want to do next. And I appreciate that. And every year say it. I don't know if the listeners are kind of picking up on that, but it's like, you're never just selfish in any decision. It's always like, what do we want? Yep. What can we create? And so thanks for that. I appreciated this. So yeah, I formed With Heart Coaching, and I called it With Heart Coaching for several reasons. Reason number 1 is I didn't want it to be my name, because once you put my name to it, then it's always going to be on my shoulders. And ego, yes. And the number 2, my hope is that this company is not just about real estate, and it's not, right? We're already started that from day 1, where we had the Happy Human. So we have a life coaching program. My hope is that other industries that are related to real estate that can start to get into coaching with, or other people will join the organization to coach. Some mortgages, title reps, etc. Because what the concepts we teach in real estate are concepts for mortgage people or title people, lawyers, gym owners, you name it, trainers, developers, even, and developers.
Anybody. At the end of the day, it's relationships, it's mindset. You got to be positive. Yeah. Positivity will make you better and more efficient at everything that you do with your at home, personal, everything. So.
And the third reason is culture. I've wanted this to be a culture of caring. So with heart, right? Everything we do will be with heart. Frankly, we probably won't coach to, heavy lead gen, Zillow, Flex. We probably are not going to be getting into that kind of coaching, which is fine. I probably yes, but it is great coaches out there. Like I can give references to amazing coaches that can coach that model. That's just not our model. And then the final reason is I envision that this company will become a brokerage for coaches, where people like you who are really talented and have businesses going, that you could impact other people. but you don't want to have to build a company to coach those other people. But if you would love coaching 5 other people and being a commercial realtor or developing and what we could do is we will have a division where we're a brokerage for coaches or your name. So it's Nick Giganti at With Our Coaching versus Nick Giganti at Skye Michiels Coaching.
Yeah.
Doesn't really go. Yeah. So now, similar to Rarity, right? Why'd you rebrand to Rarity?
It was kind of the same concept. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's scale in other markets. Yeah, to exactly like as we want to be. Yeah, same with you. Like every time I get into a breakout room, and it's an amazing setup. I don't want to give it all away, but you're really connecting with people. You're not just sitting there at that row. Yeah, it's like, hi, what are you working on? What are you thinking about right now? And then there's also some exercise that you walk us through. But in the breakout rooms, you got people from San Francisco, Alaska. You're in Alaska. Yeah. Washington, right? It's everywhere of the state. And I'm not surprised there's like no Canadians in there yet. There's probably going to be Europeans in there.
You're going to have to learn different languages.
You don't skip any states. Like, it truly, like, this is going big. And I think the sooner you can get involved in this, the better, because I think when it gets too big, sometimes, and I don't know if you have a plan on capping. Yeah, do you have a plan on capping?
No, so actually, I don't plan on capping it, but what I have a plan on is creating small opportunities for connection. So one of the things we're going to be creating is affinity groups within Happy Humans. So people who are craving, I just talked to someone today who's sober, and we're going to form an affinity group inside of it. So there'll be a little extra meeting. Yep. So the community is all going to be together, but then the core, you have a little bit of a community that you can go into: parenting, fitness, nutrition, a book club, right? So you start to form affinity groups with connectivity, and the power of community is something to lesson that if I could give anyone who's trying to build a business, create community. It'll allow you to make sure that you're not working as hard as like every single day grinding to get that next deal, because the deals will start to flow, right? So that's really one of the visions and goals. And the bottom line is it's not about me, it's about us.
Yeah. If you're someone listening and you felt like you're chasing business, stop. Yeah. Like, really just stop for a second and once again, connect with yourself. Stuff like this is really the secret. I can't emphasize that enough. It's not the shiny object that's going to get you where you want to go. It's you who's going to get you where you want to go. Just believe in that, know that, and it'll happen.
And I guess too, if they need help, I mean, how do they get?
Yeah, that's way. So my website is withheartcoaching.com. So pretty easy. Instagram is at Skye Michiels. It's spelled a little differently.
Got to change that to Happy Human. You can have your name on.
We're getting
your name holds a lot of weight.
We're gonna have an Instagram for Happy Human at times.
Your name holds a lot of weight, Sammy. So you should be putting it next to Definitely Heart. Absolutely. And then email Skye at withheartcoaching.com. And once again, I'm here to help anyone with anything, and I'm just thrilled to be in this room with you two, great friends, and
we appreciate you coming out.
We'll put all that in the description below, so you can get in contact with Skye. This is something that you're interested in. I know it probably be a little corny, a little weird, but you walk us through some amazing exercises. Would you mind walking Nick and I through something that would hopefully the audience can feel?
Yeah, let's do something around life. Okay. So let's. If you could wave a magic wand in the next 3 months, so October, November, December, if you could create one thing in your personal life, what would it be? And take a second. If you're listening to this, try to do the same exercise. So wave a magic wand, and there's one thing that you could create in your personal life, not your business life, but your personal one. Try to project forward into like December 31st of this year, and you created this one thing. Take a second, take a deep breath, and Martina, for you, what is it?
Community as well. Community of like-minded, growth-minded, I should say, heart-centered people that are all trying to push each other forward, very similar to what you've created, but just something in Philadelphia where we can all come together and know that we all have each other's backs. If I can have 10 people in that community just to start in 3 months, that'd be a blessing.
Excellent. So right now, take your phone.
Yep.
What's one thing you could do right now to create that? If you're listening to this, do this same exercise. So we identified an outcome we want. And now what we want to do is we want to go back to what is the process. So what's one thing you could do right now to get 10 people into a community?
Provide value of an event.
Okay. And let's make it simple. An event could be a happy hour.
Yeah. See that.
So who's one person you want to create a community with that you can invite to a happy hour right now?
A great guy, Bill Lappin, who I
Text. So text Bill right now.
Oh, shit.
All right. And be like, hey, what are you doing Friday? You want to grab a drink? Simple. So what we're doing here, and we sort of continuing the conversation we started about Piper focusing on process, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing next Friday?
Great. Let's grab a drink.
Now, he doesn't drink much.
Oh, then let's go for
I want to play a round of golf.
golf. He golfs even better.
You want to come out with this guy?
Potentially, yeah.
Honestly, yeah, he's a great guy. Don't shout out Bill. Green Tree Contracting Group, an amazing guy, awesome entrepreneur.
Great.
Just like us. What are you doing next Friday? I want to play around a golf.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now, what you did right there is you created a vision and an outcome you wanted to create in a short time frame.
So in 30 seconds.
And in 30 seconds, you just took a step forward. And then what I want to challenge you to do tomorrow is I want you to take another step forward. So every day you want to maintain your vision of what the outcome is that you want to create, right? But every day you want to do a very tiny thing to move you forward. And compound
effects. Great book.
every day, if you reach out, now Bill may or may not be able to play golf, and that's okay, right? But tomorrow I want you to think of who else do I know that I want to be in a community of men or people who are supporting each other. And I want you to text them tomorrow and then text me that here's the added layer. You need to screenshot the text to that person. I'm sitting here now, so I'm holding you accountable. Yep. So what we did is we created vision, a goal, a process, and the key is accountability. And I can guarantee if we continue this, there's no doubt that you'll achieve your goal, not by December 31st, but probably by October 31st.
And I'm going to be thinking it's going to take a year, 2 years. It takes 2 months.
We overthink it.
Yeah.
You're like, I got to create a spreadsheet and do a marketing plan. You just got to send a text to this guy to play golf. Fucking easy as that.
Dude, you're just talking about it too. Where I was like, man, I really enjoy this relationship that I built with him. We were able to, we're doing business together. I'm like, just really want to show him how much I appreciate him. And this is the stuff. This is it. It's not about doing anything else but that. Appreciating people. It's not.
That's right. So find somebody that can keep you accountable for all that.
Yeah, I think that is the best part. Coaching, sorry. Just like, if you don't have the coach, you've been on the fence, and maybe you have had a business for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You're like, what can get me to that? It's literally that. It's accountability. And you might have an ego in the way of saying, no, I don't need that. I'll hold myself accountable. But ego is,
in a minute.
Yeah, that's it.
You got it. All right, tonight.
Yeah, what? Yeah. So for me, I was thinking, hosting a nice vacation with my kids and my wife.
Excellent.
I mean,
Where do you want to go?
that's a big question. I'm thinking like if it's going to be the winter, maybe like go skiing.
Great.
Since my kids have been born, I used to ski every winter.
Great.
And now they're at the age where they could now start hitting it up.
Yep.
So
good. And the Tony Trail, you make skating away easy if everyone's listening. This cell phone's recording. What's that? Well, we tell us that calibrate. Yeah. Well, no, the key, this is a who situation.
Yeah.
Who is the most important person in this? Like what? Your wife.
my wife. Yeah. So I should say,
So when we stop recording, I'm going to have you text your wife to say, hey, can we grab 10 minutes tonight to plan a vacation?
that's how she'll feel too. Like, it's like, whoa, spontaneous.
And all it takes is you saying, can we grab 10 minutes to look at our calendars, and all we're going to do is put it the date we're going. Yeah, this the day. And then let's have fun planning it.
yeah, I like that.
And what's go crazy is like, this is fine. How long have you been thinking about taking a vacation with your paint?
Yeah, we took a week, to go to the Jersey Shore, and it was a great week. Great, I had time with my kids.
Yeah.
Which is great. And it's like, that put it in my mind that it's like, oh, yeah, we should do something. Yeah,
Yep. And then
the going.
exactly. And that's this process, right? So we create these outcomes that we leapfrog from one outcome to the next. And then in between, we figure out the process. So for you, I bet your wife is going to have a blast planning a vacation.
Yeah.
Right? How's that going to then ripple into your kids? Your kids are happy because they're going away at you. How does that make you're more motivated to do more business because you're so excited to you see how this all works, and it's such a rail effect. It's such a ripple effect. And all it takes is creating the vision or the dream of the outcome we want to create. Then what is the small action we're going to do? And then the accountability. And now your wife will be the one holding you accountable because you're committing to it. Yeah. Beautiful.
It is awesome stuff.
it is not about the result of the action. It's about taking the action. I felt so happy because you felt happy doing it.
Yeah, I swear, there's one thing in life that makes me and everyone happy. It's growth. It's knowing that you're progressing and wherever you are.
Yep.
If you're not growing anyway, you're dying. And that's everyone's outside. That's like, Skye, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
from
you
the
so much.
bottom of
Thank you
my
so
heart.
much. If you like what you heard,
Yes.
please like and subscribe. We'll be dropping these videos going forward. So love to have you watch each and every one.
That's it. Thanks for the support so far, guys. It's been amazing. And Skye, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. It was awesome.